भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Today we will be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 14th, Brahma's prayers to Lord Krishna, and text today we will do 5 and 6. First I will read the text 5 and the 6th there will be repetition. Text 5. पुरेह भूमन् बहवोऽपि योगिनस् त्वदर्पितेह निजकर्मलब्धया विबुध्य भक्तैव कथोपनीतया प्रपेदिरेञ्जो च्युतते गतिं पराम्. Translation. O Almighty Lord, in the past many yogis in this world achieved the platform of devotional service by offering all their endeavors unto you and faithfully carrying out their prescribed duties. Through such devotional service, perfected by the process of hearing and chanting about you, they came to understand you, O infallible one, and could easily surrender to you and achieve your supreme abode. Please repeat after me. तथापि भूमन् महिमा गुणस्य ते विबोधुमर्हत्यमलान्तरात्मभिः अविक्रियात् स्वानुभवादरूपतो ह्यनन्यबोधात्मतया न चान्यथा तथापि भूमन् महिमा गुणस्य ते विबोधुमर्हत्यमलान्तरात्मभिः अविक्रियात् स्वानुभवादरूपतो ह्यनन्यबोध्यात्मतया न चान्यथा तथापि भूमन् महिमा गुणस्य ते विबोधुमर्हत्यमलान्तरात्मभिः अविक्रियात् स्वानुभवादरूपतो ह्यनन्यबोध्यात्मतया न चान्यथा थापि nevertheless Bhuman, O limitless one, Mahima, the potency, Agunasya, of him who has no material qualities, Te, of you, Vibodhum, to understand, Arhati, one is able, Amal, spotless, Antah Atmabhi, with mind and senses, avikriyat, not based on material differentiations, swa anubhavat, by perception of the Supreme Soul, arupatah, without attachment to material forms. He indeed Ananya bodhyatmataya, as self-manifested, without the help of any other illuminating agents. Na, not, cha, and anyatha, otherwise. Translation and purport. Translation. Nonetheless, however, non-devotees, however, can't realize you in your full personal feature. Nevertheless, it may be possible for them to realize your expansion as impersonal supreme by cultivating direct perception of the self within the heart. But they can do this only by purifying their minds and senses of all conceptions of material distinctions and all attachment to material sense objects. Only in this way will your impersonal feature manifest itself to them. It is difficult for conditioned souls to understand all the transcendental feature of the Supreme Lord, as confirmed in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 1-11, Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan iti sabdate. The transcendental existence of God is understood progressively as the impersonal effulgence, the localized supersoul in one's heart, and finally the Supreme Personality of Godhead existing in his eternal abode. Lord Krishna's transcendental existence is beyond the qualities of material nature. Thus, here the Lord is referred as agunasya, without material qualities. Even if one practices yoga or engages in the advanced philosophical speculations, one will find it very difficult to understand clearly the transcendental existence beyond the modes of material nature. And these processes are virtually useless for understanding the Lord's own unlimited transcendental qualities, which are far beyond the impersonal conception of a spiritual existence. Only by the mercy of the pure devotees of the Lord, or by associating with the Lord Himself, can one begin the process of realizing the personal feature of God, a process that culminates in pure Krishna consciousness, the final and supreme perfection of knowledge. And in this chapter, Lord Brahma is offering his obeisances as well as prayers to Lord Krishna. The pastime part we know. one point Brahma wanted to bewilder Krishna by his own mystic power. But on the contrary, he himself was bewildered by the potency and opulence of Krishna. And then Brahma again came. Krishna was right there, standing on the bank of Jamuna river, Jamuna, on the sands. Brahma comes and Brahma first of all offers his obeisances and prayers, describing the transcendental beautiful form of Krishna. Naumidhyate bhravapusa tadidambaraya. I offer my respectful obeisances to Krishna, who has a garment, who has a cloth like lightning. Tadid ambaraya, his amber cloth, his eyes brilliant, effulgent as a lightning itself. Tadidambaraya, gunjavatans, paripiksham khanlasa, gunjavatans, on his shoulder, around his neck is a gunja, a certain type of very small fruit, the garland of gunja seed, and peacock feather on his head. So this, first of all, Lord Brahma described the beautiful form of Krishna, the very beautiful form. And then he talks about the transcendental nature of that transcendental form of Krishna. And then while praying, Brahmaji says that no one can understand your opulence and your sweetness unless he engage himself in pure devotional service. Without pure devotional service, it is not possible at all to understand this transcendental form of you. And then in previous verse say that some people try to understand Krishna, realize Krishna form by cultivation of transcendental knowledge. But this process, cultivation of knowledge, it is also not good enough to understand Krishna. Who can understand? Gyane prayas mudapasya namant eva jivanti san mukharitam bhavadiya vartam pray स्थाने स्थिता श्रुतिगताम तनुवांग वचोभि ये प्रायशो अजित जितोप्य त्रैलोक्यम. The person, the cost of the endeavor, prayas for knowledge, and simply they are hearing the transcendental pastime of Krishna. Gyane prayas mudapasya. They don't make any endeavor. They don't try to cultivate transcendental knowledge. Rather, they renounce all this process of cultivation of transcendental knowledge and simply jivanti san mukharitam bhavadiya varta. They are interested only to hear the pastime, your glory, which is emanating from the pure devotee. Sthane sthita, wherever they are situated, though Krishna, you are Ajit, no one can conquer you. But if simply the hearing your pastime, emanating from the pure mouth of the pure devotee, they can understand you. They can appreciate your beauty and your glory and your mahima. And then Brahmaji, in due course of prayer, Sreya sritim bhakti mudashyate vibho. Sreya sritim. Bhakti is the fountainhead of all auspiciousness. Any auspiciousness is there, it is emanating. Bhakti is the fountainhead of our auspiciousness. Any auspiciousness coming in our direction, that must be emanated from the bhakti. Sreya Sritim, the path of auspiciousness, good thing. But some people, Sreya Sritim Bhaktim Udasyate Vibho Klishyanti. But some people are, in beginning at least, they are not interested in pure devotional service. Rather, sometimes they dare to renounce, give up devotional service, and Klishyanti keval bodha labdhaye. They try to cultivate Krishna consciousness, or they try to cultivate knowledge by this process, by process of speculating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tesam asau kleshala eva shishyate. If they don't engage themselves in devotional service, rather they are interested for the cultivation of transcendental knowledge, towards the end, they realize the uselessness or futility of cultivation of knowledge. Tesam asau kleshala eva shishyate. Towards the end, they achieve only thing, klesh, trouble only. If they renounce devotional service and engage themselves in some process other than devotional service, then towards the end they get only trouble, klesh, dukh. And Brahmaji gives a very nice example. Nanyat yatha stula tusavghatinam. They are engaged in cultivation of yoga or jnana or karma, different type of process, but towards the end they achieve only trouble, dukh, klesh. Maybe something else, no anyatha, nothing else. Only thing they give. An example, Brahma, sthula tusavghatinam. If there is the piles of husk, empty husk, there is no grain in that husk, and if simply someone goes there beating that husk, so certainly he will not get any grain, because grain is already removed from there. Sthula tusa. The husk is completely empty of any grains. There is not even a single particle of grain is remaining in the husk. And someone goes and beating, husking that husk, that certainly he will not get the grain. Rather, what he will get klesh, some pain in his muscles only in hand. And then this verse talks about fifth one, pureha bhuman bahavopi yogina. Here Brahma described that Gyan bhaktaiva jnanam na anyatha iti uktam. They described that even knowledge, transcendental knowledge, we can get only through the process of devotional service. If someone denounce or give up devotional service and he try to cultivate knowledge, he could not get it. So Gyan bhaktaiva jnanam. Even the jnana we can get through bhakti only, no anyatha. And this verse, fifth verse, describes the Pureha Bhuman, in the past, many, not only one, the many saintly person, they engage in devotional service. Pureha Bhuman Bahavopi Yogina Todarpiteha Nijkarm Labdhaya. Only utility of other process other than devotional service, that if someone renounce devotional service and engage in the yoga and jnana and karma and yajna, it is useful only in the sense that towards the end, the yogis realize the futility of jnana kand and karma kand. Only useful. Because when they engage themselves in cultivation of yoga and jnana and sankhya, towards the end, if they are really serious and honest, they realize the futility or uselessness of the process. And once they come to the conclusion that this process we have accepted, that is completely useless, at that time, Vibhuddhya, they understand, they realize, and then they Tvad Arpit Iha Nijakar. Then what they direct their effort, their prayatna towards that Lord, and they surrender themselves and they dovetail their desire with the desire of Krishna. So every activity because they are understanding that the cultivation of knowledge or yoga or karma kanda, this is a useless. For that reason they become very much frustrated at that point and then accept all their iha activities. Either it is material or spiritual, everything they surrendered in the Lord Krishna. They took shelter of lotus feet of Krishna and they dovetailed their desire with the desire of Krishna. Vibhuddhya Bhaktaiva, and then they engage themselves in the cultivation of Krishna consciousness bhakti, and through the bhakti, by the potency of the bhakti, by the influence of the bhakti devotional prape, they got the supreme destination, Param Gatim. Param Gatim. Param Gatim means they Parshadattva. They developed attraction. They revived their spontaneous attraction for Krishna, Prema Bhakti, and then they become eligible to enter in the kingdom of God in the service attitude. Prape dire anjasa chutte gatim param. And then tathapi bhuman mahima gunasyate. So this is the process, Brahma describing that this is the process of understanding the potency of Krishna, sweetness of Krishna or opulence of Krishna. How that comes, Brahmaji is describing that by devotional service, cultivation of devotional service, we can get the supreme destination, Param Gatim. We become eligible to enter in the kingdom of Krishna, Vaikuntha or Golok, with a service attitude, and we engage there in the complete pure devotional service. But how this bhakti comes? Kathopanitaya bhaktya eva. First of all, they direct their all activities towards the Krishna. They adopted their desire with the desire of Krishna, and then kathopanitaya bhaktya, bhakti which we achieve, which we get by katha, Krishna katha. When we hear Krishna katha, when Krishna katha enters in our heart through the oral reception, and then we revive our Krishna consciousness. Bhakti comes katha upanitaya bhaktya. Bhakti which is we get achieved by katha, Sravanam and Kirtanam. When we engage ourselves in Sravan and Kirtan, so by the influence of Sravan Kirtan, we develop bhakti, and then that bhakti, pure devotional service, becomes eligible. By the process of pure devotional service, by the influence of pure devotional service, we become eligible to revive our spontaneous attraction for Krishna. So, and what about other process? Here Brahmaji says that only by devotional service we can. Other process are only helpful, are useful because we realize towards the end that the process, other than devotional service is useless, futility of. Without bhakti, we can't cross the material existence of repeated cycle of birth and death. Here Brahmaji also described, but one Hindi poet very nicely described how the other processes are completely futile. Bari mathe ghrita hoi baru, sikata te barute. A poet described that maybe by churning water you can get butter. It is not possible at all, but maybe some point the Prakriti changes nature, and simply by churning water you may get butter. Bari mathe ghrita hoi paru, sikata te parutel. And by crushing sand, you may get oil. It is absolutely impossible, but if you are some fortunate enough, you may get it. Maybe the nature, the Prakriti, nature, it changes nature. Binu Hari Bhakti, but without Hari Bhakti, without Krishna consciousness, you can't cross the existence of repeated cycle of birth and death. Material existence, no way. Only we can cross the material existence by pure devotional service only. And he says that this principle akatya, yah siddhant apel, irrefutable. You can refute this doctrine, this firm doctrine. So, Brahmaji here in his prayer, while he is praying, he is trying to establish that doctrine that if anyone wants to revive his spontaneous attraction for Krishna, then only process he should adopt bhakti. And what about Gyan? Even so-called speculative knowledge, Gyan or impersonal, that is also not possible on its own way. If someone is engaged himself seriously and honestly in cultivation of Krishna consciousness, cultivation of knowledge, but he doesn't give proper regard for devotional service, rather he renounces devotional service and he wants that I will understand Krishna. It is not possible. To some extent, maybe by purely and sincerely, if he is engaged in cultivation of knowledge, he may have a little glance for impersonal feature of Krishna. Maybe, though it is not possible, but some fortunate person, if he is really serious and honest, engaged in cultivation of knowledge, so only he can get some glimpse, jhalak of impersonal feature of Krishna. But when comes in this purport, it is mentioned that Krishna's feature Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti shabdate. Lord is there, Brahma, through that existence, potency, Krishna is all pervading. Krishna is present everywhere. That is called Brahma Jyoti, impersonal feature of Krishna. Superior to this feature is the localized Paramatma. Sarvasya chaham hridisya niveshto. Krishna is situated in everyone's heart as a Paramatma super soul. And beyond that super soul conception, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, full of all six opulences and all sweetness, he existing, he displaying his pastime in his abodes like Vrindavan and Vaikuntha and Golok. So, and then in this verse, 6th verse, Brahmaji talking that and Brahmaji, in one sense, Brahma described that by devotional service, if we engage ourselves in pure devotional service, then we can understand, we can appreciate, we can cross the existence of material nature. But in this verse, Brahma again, he becomes very much, no, I think it is, I have exaggerated this one. So no, Lord, we have no potency, even we engage ourselves in pure devotional service, still it will not possible for us to get a spontaneous attraction for Krishna. Rather, because we are so insignificant, Krishna is so great, so sweet. What we can pay price to get him? It is not in our potential. But when our heart becomes completely free from all contamination by the cultivation of pure devotional service, when our heart becomes completely purified, spotless, avikriyat, here Brahmaji word is avikriyat. If there is not even a tinge of a sense of sense gratification, material sense gratification, it is not there, then even in that purity has no power to conquer, get Krishna. But when by process of devotional service, when we purify our existence, then Krishna, out of his own mercy, karuna, he descends in our consciousness. It is not even the pure devotional service, by the cultivation of pure devotional service, we are not competent enough, powerful enough to capture Krishna. But when engage ourselves sincerely and honestly in pure devotional service, then Krishna, out of his own causeless mercy, he descends. So, Brahma is here trying to explain that we can understand, we can appreciate the glories, greatness, sweetness of Krishna by Krishna's mercy, not through by the power of our devotional service. We have cultivated nicely, chanting very seriously everything, and that is not good enough. it is helpful in sense that once the consciousness is purified by pure devotional service, then Krishna descends out of his own causeless mercy, comes here. So, eventually, it is mercy of Krishna. First, Brahmaji talks about Gyan. By Gyan, nahi Gyanena sadrishyam pavitraam ya kaschit vidyate, and Krishna talks in Bhagavad Gita, nahi Gyanena sadrishyam pavitraam ya kaschit vidyate. There is nothing more pure than pure knowledge. But even that knowledge, to some extent, it is useful that by the cultivation of knowledge we realize that the futility or uselessness of knowledge. That is helpful. And even we practice, then we can have a little glimpse of a impersonal feature of Krishna. Personal feature of Krishna we can get only through pure devotional service. But even pure devotional service is not competent enough to capture Krishna. It is only the mercy of Krishna. We cultivate honestly Krishna consciousness, purify our existence by, and then Krishna descends out of his own mercy, out of his own karuna, causeless mercy. So in this particular verse, Brahmaji is trying that we can get Krishna, we can cross the material existence not by our own effort, but simply by the causeless mercy of Krishna. Any question or comment? I think I finish my. Okay. Panchgoda Prabhuji.
So, just like you go to Ganges for purification, but Manigriva and Nala Kuvera were in the Ganges for, they wanted to enjoy sense gratification. So, is it that we're thinking that we're going to automatically get purified just by going to Ganges? But it mentioned that it's also a state of consciousness, a desire. I mean, Krishna is not robotic. It's not like Krishna has to give me this mercy if I do X, Y, Z. He said the cultivating knowledge. And cultivating knowledge means just by hearing, but also the mood or the intention of the hearer or the performer of sacrifice is taken into consideration. Can you say something about that?
Let me different. Krishna's mercy is so powerful that we may offend sinful activity. That is power of sinful activities. And one power, and another power of Krishna's mercy. So, Krishna mercy is more powerful than our potency or the sinful activity. If Krishna wants, like Jagai Madhai, they did nothing for purification completely. But Krishna wanted to bestow mercy to Jagai Madhai. So, any amount of our sinful activities are offense, it has no power to check, stop the mercy of Krishna. So we like in a case of Nal Kubar and Manigiri, they did not. Even they don't have any interest to know Krishna for devotional service. They are not. They renounce everything. But if Narad wanted to bestow his mercy. So Narad mercy is so powerful that their sinful activities or offensive attitude could not check the mercy of Narad Rishi. So similarly, if Krishna wants to bestow his mercy upon any living entity, so we can't say, no, he is so powerful that mercy will not flow in that direction. No. एक जगह कहा गया है ना कि यदि दुनिया के सब लोग मिलकर all people on the earthly planet, they simply engage in sinful activity and they earn the quantity of sinful activity so big, it is not good enough to check the potency of name chanted once. One person chanted one time Krishna, Krishna. That has potency. And other, the sinful, whole population of earthly planets, they are simply engaging themselves in sinful activity so that they can check, they can counteract the potency of chanting of Krishna name once. It is not possible. Krishna chanting one time is more powerful. So similarly, those one side offense, sins of Nal Kubar was there, that was also potent. But another side, the mercy of Naradji was there. Both, and always the mercy of Narad become, what you say, he conquered. Because he make destroy there. So here also it is mercy. And if Krishna wants to bestow his mercy, then no, that mercy will not act. It will not be effective because he is so sinful person. So it is, so that is one is sadhan siddha. This is also one person's kripa siddha. So bhakti also Krishna bhakti janma mool hoy sadhu sang. Sadhu sang, satsang is the root cause of devotional service. Sang or mercy. Mercy of sadhu is so powerful that anyone can, any sinful person can get pure devotional service if some sadhu uses his veto power. He had a strong desire to make that person Krishna conscious.
Is that what you call costless mercy?
Causeless mercy.
Costless. Why cannot Lord Krishna, just like Narad Muni, he saved those two brothers, Nalakupara and Manigriva? Why not he can save the whole world and give costless mercy to everyone?
One Krishna guna quality is he is not partial, impartial. So if Krishna would bestow his mercy to a certain living entity, then he will be contaminated by the disqualification, partiality. There will be partiality. Because Krishna giving mercy to him and not to me. Krishna is impartial. So his impartiality would be destroyed if Krishna directly bestow his mercy to a certain living entity. But Krishna has given this power, invested his power in a pure devotee, and if he bestows his mercy to any living entity, still he is not contaminated by the partiality. So it is Krishna Bhakti Janma Mool Hai Sadhu Sang. So if really someone wants to achieve pure devotional service, obtain pure service, the best course to please, satisfy a pure devotee, and he has power to bestow, bring Krishna in our direction, and still he will not be condemned for his partiality. He can use his veto power to make any devotee, any person Krishna conscious. So, Krishna is not bestowing mercy to certain any living entity directly, because he would become contaminated by the disqualification of partiality. And one Krishna is impartial. Samoham sarvbhuteshu name desheshu nape. I am equal to all living entity. No one is my friend and no one is my enemy. So for that reason, Krishna directly, if he wants to bestow, he throws one to you. So Narad bestowed. Shiva was right there. Nala and Kuber were engaged, they are taking bath, naked bath, what is offending, and right there in the abode of Shiva, but Shiva did not care. Jiyova, Marova. You die or live, I don't care. Why should I bother for you? But sadhu, they are such a merciful heart. They could not ignore. Sadhava samdrikshanta dina nam samupekshaka Brahma. A sadhu, do Brahmana samdrikshanta dina nam samupekshaka Brahma teja tasyapi bhinna bhandat yathapaya. If a saintly person, sadhu, ignores the distress, suffering of other living entity innocently, then his spiritual potency diminishes, leaks out, just as water put in the broken pot, it leaks out. So similarly, a sadhu has no power, right to ignore the distress of a living entity. He must be his duty bound to bestow mercy upon living entity, especially fallen living entity.
That is the case of Lord Nityananda with Jagayananda. That's why Lord Nityananda is more merciful than Lord Chaitanya.
They have done every single sinful activity they have cultivated. But Nityananda did not care. Rather, he has no right to ignore them, deliver them.
They were the right personalities to be liberated.
Yeah.
According to Lord Nityananda and Haridasa.
Maharaj, I think you would like to say something. Okay, fine. So here I should. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki